me copy, and how are you? N2DTS K1YW.
K1YW from N2DTS. Fine copy there, Greg. They're doing quite well. Just got back from a very nice motorcycle ride. A little bit in the woods and a little bit in the back roads. And it was quite nice. Got to walk in early this morning, and that was very nice. I think it was like 65. And may go for another walk after dinner. Getting back in shape here. Just running a new K7 DIY Super Senior. Getting the bugs worked out of it and doing some experiments with it. And from a rocky start, we're making some progress, it seems. We'll see if it trips out. I just was running the power up a little bit, 250 watts, and it didn't trip out, but changed frequency and it was a little bit higher power, so I turned it down. One of these days I'll have to check and see how the power tracks with frequency. I imagine there's some variation because of the output networks. Hey, remember that? I don't know if you ever saw it. My wife used to watch it. Under the Dome. One of those really silly, TV shows that really didn't make a lot of sense or have a real reasonable plot or theory of whatever, that just ended without kind of knowing what was going on. Under the Dome. Every time they have, like, they talk about the heat dome, I kept thinking of that stupid show. Under the Dome. K1YW from N2DTS.
N2DTS K1YW. I think I recall seeing that years ago. But also under the general theory of the flat Earth, which consists of, this pizza pie structure called the Earth. And then there's a dome over that, where the sun is projected up in the sky, etc., and all that. And so if you have any complaints about the climate or the radio propagation, you have to blame it on the dome operators, Brett. So anyway, it's a fun theory, and maybe it would protect us from asteroids if it was true. I don't know. I don't think it is, but fun to think about. Anyway, the DIY sounds pretty good. No complaints, and everything looks good on the pan adapter, and here nice looking signal, so the audio is good. So have you been has it been tripping out on you, or have you had it running at different power levels? I was wondering just how is it going with that beast. Well, it's not too much of a beast, but it's very I guess very easily triggered, which I guess you can expect these days for a modern transmitter. N2DTS K1YW.
Yeah, I think this is the third day I've had it, and I think it's tripped out about 50 times and blown one FET, which I fixed, but the last 2 or 3 QSOs with quite a bit of transmitting has not tripped out since I kind of went through the antenna tuner and made some new shorter coax jumpers. So that seems to have helped quite a bit. We'll see if it continues. Now, you're always waiting for it to trip with these things. You can't assume they're going to work like they're supposed to. So there you go. Well, I don't know if you've seen that Las Vegas sphere thing. That is really wild, and that looks like a dome. I guess it's a dome, or maybe it's more of a little bit more of a sphere than a dome. But man, they do some amazing things with that. I don't know if you've seen any videos of that, but that's really quite incredible. The sphere. They had I saw a video of like a robot breaking out of the dome. It looked like they broke it and it climbed out. It was really amazing, and I imagine it looks just as crazy inside. I don't know how that actually functions, but it's pretty wild. So that's I'm going to turn this DIY up a little bit. I got about, according to the watt meter, I'm not sure how accurate it is. I think it's reads a little low. 250 watts carrier. So we'll see if we can make it trip out. K1YW from N2DTS.
Interesting there, Brett. I wonder what were the circumstances where you blew the Fed out? How did you? I guess you tripped it, and was it because of modulation or some other issue?
Well, that's a good question. I received it, I unpacked it, I mounted it in the rack, I hooked it up, plugged everything in. You know, I'm going through the mic jack on the front for the push to talk and the audio, and I keyed it and had no RF. That's odd, no RF at all. So I proceeded to do a number of things and you know, tune and all that. I could tell that the low level signal is working, and the spot made the signal come up a little bit. But when you keyed the transmitter, you got no RF out. So I tested the power supply. I had, like, it's like 150 volts rectified AC. And then it goes into the pulse width modulator, I guess, and that puts it to the FETs. And I wasn't really troubleshooting that. And I emailed Bruce, and he said check the high voltage rail at you know, for resistance, for ohms. It should be 100K, and I had like an ohm, so I knew a FET was gone, and I didn't have any visible indication which FET it was. It was the third FET that I removed. It's very easy to get the FETs out. They use some kind of modern solder that melts at a higher temperature than typical, you know, old school 6040. But I did get the FET out, and I had a whole bunch of replacements from the last one. I put one of them in, and it proceeded to trip out a whole bunch of times on SWR. And I went through the antenna tuner and the coax and all that, made sure everything was real tight and everything was like no SWR. and it's been working. And I'm almost at 200. I'm probably at 250 watts now, which is it's not blowing out, which is progress. I have better antenna tuner coming because I'm not sure about the components in this Drake. It's got some fixed capacitors in there, I guess, to reduce the size of the actual air variables, and that they may be problematic. So I want to get a tuner that doesn't have any fixed capacitors. K1YW from N2DTS.
Okay, so it sounds like you don't know exactly how the Fed died in the first place. I guess you just tried using it for the first time. Was that the case? And it had no output. I've blown FETs in mine. Well, I've got an 160-80 model, and I've blown FETs like 3 or 4 different occasions, and then I got a not too long ago I got an 8040, and I should put it on the air again, but I'm waiting to finish up the max audio processor to limit the negative peaks or overall peaks. But yeah, I wondered if you have an idea of what the failure event was. But now I did something else too. What I did was I built a little sequencer because I was suspicious, and I'm still suspicious, that when I did blow the FETs the last time, or one FET rather, I think it was because I might have been keying too quickly on the push to talk, and maybe trying to talk into the microphone at the same time as it was transitioning into transmit. And so I made a little sequencer, and what it does is it with an Arduino and some relays, and the relays, what they do is they shunt the audio going into the transmitter, so there's like no audio until the PTT after the PTT is engaged, and about 100 milliseconds later, then the relays shut off and the audio is restored. And then on going from transmit to receive, it does the reverse. It delays the PTT until the audio gets shunted at the end of the PTT, and then it delays the PTT driving the rig so that it doesn't transition out of transmit with any kind of modulation for another 100 milliseconds. I hope that explains the idea at least. N2DTS K1YW.
Oh, K1YW. N2DTS. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm not doing that here, but that's probably, I would suspect that probably, could give you problems. I wonder when you blew your FET there, Greg, if you had a visible indication of it. Because when I had one of these in the past, when the FETs blew out, they always blew holes in them. This time it had no visible, failure. And I've emailed Bruce about what is the reason for the sensitivity to the SWR. The SWR has to really be perfect, and what's driving that? Is it the voltage rating of the FETs? Is it the voltage rating of the output network capacitors? I think I had issues with some of those in early models. And what is it? Is it a voltage? I was kind of curious as to whether the voltage on the FETs is regulated, what it is, and if you could reduce that a bit so that you could only theoretically run 300 watts carrier out of it, that it would be more tolerant, or could be more tolerant of SWR. And I imagine that there's an adjustment. There's two adjustments in there. One is, I guess, audio level, and the other one, I guess, would be, trip for the SWR. What it's reading, I'm not sure, but like if you adjusted those to where it was a little more tolerant, would it blow out? Would it be more prone to blow out? And what would blow out? So that's my my questions that I had. But so far we're working okay. It's a nice summer rig. It doesn't have anything over my screen modulated transmitter. That puts out more power and is certainly not prone to trip anything out. And the fidelity is just as good or better. So, but I like to try different things, and it certainly is a very efficient transmitter that doesn't generate much heat. But I was told that the 16080 is much more tolerant and robust. And the 40 meter version, I guess, is pushing the FETs a little bit more, and possibly has to be much more careful with how they're operated. So I wonder if you looked at the design and whether you can follow. Like I don't know what's going on inside the chips. I see the pulse width modulator or the pulse duration modulator. I forget which one it is, and that has a lot of control over the FETs, and whether the voltage is regulated or not, or what it is, I don't know. So it'd be interesting to know whether it's, even reducing the 120 volts going into it down to like 110, whether that would make it more tolerant, a little bit less power output and more tolerant. K1YW from N2DTS.
W3FJJ.
Yeah, I hear W3FJJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, Chuck.
I'll send it over to you after I make a transmission here.
Hi, Chuck. K3PTX.
I'm not sure myself about what is causing the FETs to blow. When mine blew, they shorted, so you could, I guess you could just look at the gate. The gate was shorted to the drain, or yeah, I guess the gate was just shorted, and so I guess you could pull. I think you just have to remove maybe the drain pin on each FET one at a time to find the one that's failed, but you said you had one that opened, so that wouldn't help. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is some way to make it more tolerant, but I know one time that I did blow the FETs was, you know, I have a push-to-talk switch that is like a wall switch in a plastic box, and one time I left that on, and I think I tripped out for some reason, and so I shut off the transmitter. I forgot to turn the PTT back to receive position, and then when I power cycled the transmitter back on, it came back on in transmit, or you know, attempted to, and that's when it blew the FET there. So yeah, I don't know. I guess what I should do is have a momentary PTT switch that would have prevented that problem. And that's probably something I have to do next. Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to mitigate the issues further. And I didn't. I saw those controls that you were mentioning, those adjustments, and I didn't bother to mess with them. But it might be worth it at some point, but I guess you'd have to be careful, and yeah, you might go through some FETs to figure out if you're doing anything to improve it or make it worse. So I guess it goes over to let's see, W3FJJ. I think I have your call right. Is that Charles or Chuck? I'm not sure. Over to you. This is K1YW with
KA3PTX breaking in.
Yeah, here KA3PTX breaking in as well. Good afternoon, Greg. Yeah, you got the name right. It's Chuck. Charlie Hotel, Uncle Charlie Kilo. I've got you down in my log here. Worked you a couple times here recently. Hello to you there, Brett. Congratulations there on the DIY. I was sounds really good. I was listening yesterday when you had some trip outs, and so you might have solved the problem there. It sounds like. Hopefully. So yeah, they call them those FETs are three-legged fuses. Except sometimes they do short instead of open. But I've never owned a DIY, but I have troubleshot some FET circuits, and yeah, I prefer when they short out. It's easier to find them than when they open. And usually that's the case, and I think it is the gate. There's a thin layer of insulation between the gate and the drain and source, and it gets punctured and basically shorts out. It's very common for FETs, but suppose they can open up as well. So let me keep it short, see if you guys are copying. I'm hearing you guys fine. Got 82 degrees here in Newark. Very nice day. Trust you're getting the better weather there as well. So KA3PTX with the group W3FJJ.
W3FJJ in the group KA3PTX. Very good. Hello Chuck. Hello Greg. Hello Brett again. I wonder if you got out on the motorcycle. I'm just getting ready to go back out again. I was out earlier this morning and gonna do a ride over to my friend's house that has a big garden. He's always got too much stuff coming out of that garden. He's always wanting to give away zucchinis and cucumbers and a bunch of other stuff. I guess his tomatoes too are coming in, at least the small ones. The grape tomatoes, I believe they are. So yeah, Brett, sounds like, I wonder if you've had any trip outs since I talked to you this morning. Sounded like it was pretty clear sailing there. And I agree with Greg there. I think I may have tripped this one out. This is the 8040. I also have a 160/80 version, and that one's been great, except for, some stupid things I did in the beginning, like trying to turn the roller inductor when I was in high power, and it takes a little burr or something on that thing to make things jump, and I blew it out then. But it's been good for a while, knock on wood. But yeah, I think I may have noticed a trip once, like Greg, you were saying, like if I key this radio up and like immediately or almost simultaneously talk at the same time, it doesn't like that. I think I think I did trip it out doing that once the other day. But so now I just kind of key up and I do your Arduino programming sequencer thing in my brain. I key up, I wait 100 milliseconds maybe, and then I talk. So just kind of conscious of that. And yeah, all has been good so far. Yeah, nice day in the neighborhood. Beautiful conditions compared to what we were dealing with a few days ago. And probably working in the garage in a little bit too. So Brett, pick it up there. And and what I was going to ask you, Brett, is I heard you and Paul, I think, talking about that. Did you get that? It sounded like you got it yesterday, or Valerie said she brought it down the steps or something. Was it that equalizer, compressor, little box thing? I wonder if you played around with that yet. N2DTS in the group. KA3 PTX.
Yeah, I just had a trip out when you broke in, Ed, and I wanted to key up and say, "Hi, Ed," and I guess I was too quick. So, yes, if you modulate when you key up too quickly, there she blows. Looking at the diagrams here while listening, and there's an adjustment, a pot that's hanging off of basically the output. It's got I guess it's got like an SWR bridge, and that feeds a pot which feeds, like, it looks like maybe like a Darlington pear or something, and that outputs the SWR latch. So it's it's looking at right at the output from the transmitter, and I imagine adjusting that pot a little bit more towards the ground would make the SWR a little less sensitive, possibly. Whether that would be risky, I'm going to wait and see what Bruce responds. There's also, I guess, the power control pot that's on the front, and there's a peak power adjustment as well, which I guess is your peak PEP output. Yeah, I got the Rolls HR11C. It looks pretty cool. It's really neat. It's balanced input and output, and it has XLRs or tip ring sleeve. It's got phantom power if you want. It's got a compressor which has on the front, it says limit, and an output level adjustment. So it looks like, for something like the Mac, you put your microphone into this thing, maybe compress it a little bit, keep your average up, and notch out your 125 frequencies, and you know, tailor your EQ, and then run it into the max, and it would be everything you need. And Greg, I'm using the max. It works really well for the DIY. I have one that's got a mic input, a line level input, and 2 outputs. And what I did this morning was hook the Super Senior into output number 2, so that all the other transmitters go to output 1, and I can select which transmitter, which is generally a higher level than what the Super Senior requires, and I can adjust that and leave it for you know, where it's supposed to be. So that's a nice feature of that.